Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. And in this one, I'm talking about parental leave in the United States versus Sweden. That's coming up. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about what it's like living in Sweden. I compare things in Europe to the United States. If you're interested in that kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. This one I feel very, very passionate about, and this one's mostly going to be viewed towards Americans. I'm speaking to you guys about this because my perspective on this has changed a lot, but there's not a lot of passion, I think, for paternal leave in the United States. I don't remember hearing about it in presidential debates growing up. I don't remember hearing about it much in political discussion. But if you look at the United States system when it comes to parental leave, you have a couple options. But first, if you're lucky enough to work for an employer that does offer parental leave, I think it's something between 13 to 17% of employers actually have jobs where they offer some sort of parental leave. I know a lot of tech companies like in Silicon Valley usually offer something like Google, for example, will offer it. And so that's nice that it's moving in that direction. But if you're not fortunate enough for that, you're allowed to use up your sick days and your vacation days in a lot of cases. So sick days maybe typically going to give you 5 days unless you've saved them up, and vacation time 2 weeks. So realistically speaking, if you're a mother and you can't afford to not be sick in the United States and you have to work, you're going to get about 3 weeks off to take care of your kid. Compare that to the Swedish system where both parents get to share up to 18 months time off, and you have a couple years to do that, to use up all of your days. And I think the guy needs to use about 2 months of that time if he wants to get some time off, so the mother couldn't take the full 18. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But you get 80% of your salary. So up to like a cap of about $3,000, but you also have to pay into the system. So if you're not working, let's say you're still in school and you have a kid, you're going to get money, but you're not going to get the same amount of money. But I think it's cool that if you pay in the system, that's what you get. And so it's very common for Swedish folks that when they get to that age to have kids, maybe they're not at their workplace a lot over a span of like 5 years. When I first came to Sweden and started working to the system, I didn't feel passionate about it one way or another. And my opinions had to change over time because I thought it was a lot of time off. And at first I thought it was weird that guys got times off. But after being here as long as I have, if you look at the United States, we're like the only Western country that's like not offering paternal leave. And I think in general, there's just very few countries in the whole world that don't offer some type of parental leave. So there are other countries that might be worse off financially, for example, that are offering parental leave right now. So why don't we have the system? One of the reasons might be that I think the bulk of the responsibility would be put on the employer. So in that sense, it could hurt jobs where in the Swedish system, the employer pays some of the tax, but it's also mostly coming from just taxes in general that we're paying for in Sweden. So why do I feel passionate about this? Well, for one, I work in education, and the more and more I think about it, I think that if you're a child growing up, and I just think so many health problems in the United States in general have to do with stress in the United States. And I can't imagine having a kid and then not being able to afford to stay home to take care of that kid, and then the stress of going back to work.
Really? After having her baby Eleanor, Vanessa Hawes took 12 weeks off from a retail job, unpaid. It caused a cash flow crunch.
Anytime that I went to the grocery or had to get gas or buy diapers, I bought everything on my credit cards.
Eleanor's father, Nick McAuliffe, took no unpaid leave, because if he did,
we would starve to death if I did.
And let's not forget, too, that not every woman that gives birth has a simple birth, you know. They might have a C-section, for example, or they might have postpartum depression.
American women are currently entitled to 12 weeks unpaid leave. American men are entitled to nothing. That information landed differently for me when 1 week after my son's birth, I could barely walk. That information landed differently when I was getting to know a human who was completely dependent on my husband and I for everything, when I was dependent on my husband for most things, and when we were relearning everything we thought we knew about our family and our relationship. It landed differently.
So I think it's very, very important that we look at those things. We talk about a lot in the United States how much we value women, especially now with this Me Too movement coming. But I think that we need to care more, because I think that we'll see a change. I think if we value mothers and fathers' time off from work, and we could offer some kind of system, a month. I'm saying a month. You don't even have to give the dad time off. But if we could offer 1 month to the woman and not include that into her vacation pay or her sick pay, that would realistically give her, if she used those other days, 6 to 7 weeks, would be closer to 2 months. And that would be a much better situation for the United States. If we could offer 4 to 6 weeks, if we could find a solution. I always hear that we can't afford things and we can't do them. And that it's weird for me to compare a country so small like Sweden to the United States. But I think you have to look at it more like some things work, and maybe we can't do things the exact same way, but what we're currently doing isn't working. And if we want a better society in general, I think that giving people time to take care of their kids, to give them love that they deserve and need, might help nurture them. We might see a drop in stress levels and health. Maybe, for example, infant mortality rates in the United States, sudden deaths from babies would actually drop.
Paid leave not only bolsters families, says economist Chris Room, but boasts broad economic benefits as well.
It leads to higher overall employment rates of women.
Room has found that new moms are more likely to return to work if they get paid leave.
It's going to preserve human capital, which leads to higher productivity. I think we would be willing to actually pay some cost to support a family value, but in fact, in this case, we actually might get a benefit. So it's a double gain.
One last thing I have to say, because I think this is very important, because the main criticism I always get on my channel here is that I'm less than a man. Like, if I talk about anything that might be an issue to the left, because I don't consider myself to be like a Democrat or a Republican at all, although people love to tell me that I'm a liberal because I talk about these things. I always get called less than a man, or, oh, you're not a man if you do this or that. There's been a few famous men in spotlight, like sports stars and things like that, have taken some parental time off and have been ripped in the media.
This week, sports radio skewered him for missing the first 2 games of the season for his son's birth.
You get your back to your team when you play baseball. That's my take on it. There's nothing you can do anyway. You're not breastfeeding the kid.
I was at C-section before the season starts. I need to be at opening day.
Somehow there's this perspective that if a man takes time off of work to be home with their kid, they're less than a man. And that to me is ridiculous. I mean, shouldn't a father want to be with their child? Shouldn't that be something we should change? This whole idea of what it means to be a man, isn't being a father and taking care of a kid like an important responsibility and something to take in? I think in the United States we have to change our perspective on work a little bit, because I love to work. I like to work hard. I mean, I got a YouTube channel, love to run. I like to do a lot of things, and sometimes I can be guilty of being a workaholic, but sometimes I feel like, it's because it happened to me before coming to Sweden, my view on work and how it was, like, if anybody would take time off of work or be sick or do any of those things, I just always felt like this, oh, they're lazy, or, oh, I can't believe you're doing this or that. We have a negative attitude towards that, and we have to do that shift a little bit. We have to be concerned a little bit more, I think, about each other and taking care of each other, really. So I think we can learn a lot from the Swedish system. Can we get 18 months? Probably not. But like I said, a month to 6 weeks, it's going to be huge. And I think it's something that we need to start pushing for more and more. It might be something that we could get before maybe universal health care or free college. I think this could be a first big step if we could just find a solution. And the best part about it is I think you would see healthcare costs. I think there would be a positive benefit all the way around. And lastly, nobody should ever rip on anybody who wants to be a father and a dad, and take care of their kids. So, with all that being said, I'm sure you guys will have opinions and thoughts, which I would love to hear. So go ahead and put those in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hej då!